Hey friends, welcome back to Homeschoolology. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Nikki. I'm a homeschooling mom of 4. I currently have a 9th grader, 5th grader, 1st grader, and kindergartner, and on this channel I usually share secular homeschooling with you guys, but I also like to share our lives in general and many things in between. So if that interests you, I hope you will stick around, and today I am going to be chatting all about our homeschool routine or flow. This video is in a collaboration with Devine at Calm in the Chaos and Shawna from Homegrown Homeschool, so thank you to these ladies for hosting today's wonderful collab. Don't forget to check out their channels. I'll link them down below. And there will be a playlist of a whole bunch of moms sharing their homeschool routines and flows. I think this is a wonderful thing to do a collab on because you get to see so many different ideas and ways of people do things and make what works best for you. We are probably going to be a little bit different than what you hear is kind of like the normal general routine because we are not morning people around here. Things just don't happen in the morning around here. No matter how we try, it's just not who we are. We are all a neurospicy family, and if you don't know, that kind of tends to mean that your biological clock is off a little bit, and we tend to do better in the afternoons and the evenings versus morning. Just as a general rule of thumb, I'm not saying everyone, but as a general rule of thumb. And so that means that mornings just aren't our thing, guys. They just aren't. Nobody's happy in the morning. Nobody's ready to get anything accomplished in the morning. We all need time to get awake. And for that reason, for a very long time, we have been schooling after lunch. We typically do have early lunch because as we're not morning people, we don't tend to eat breakfast a lot. So we tend to eat our lunch kind of earlier, normally between like 11 and 11:30. It tends to be lunchtime around here. So we typically start school around noon. And that has worked really well for us. It's been working well, and it's just what works. Everybody's in a much better mood. Everybody knows what to expect. We eat, we start school. It's just been what works for us. Now, we have had a change in our schedule. Our co-op was 1 day a week. It's now 2 days a week. So we've had to adjust a little bit to this. And it's going okay, but it's definitely something we're working on. We also have a 9th grader this year, so she needs to have a little bit, she has a little bit more on her plate, so we are having to make sure that she either starts a little bit earlier or, she has to understand that her day is going to be a little bit longer. Our general flow of things is that we get up whenever we get up. For me, I'm typically up between like 7:30 and 8:30 as far as like awake, and because I stay up late, I work after my kids go to bed, so I typically don't go to bed until midnight 1-ish, so I do sleep in a little bit in the morning, and so I will wake up around that time. Some days I will snuggle the kids if they're awake. My 2 younger kids will wake up sometime usually in that range, and then if they're up, I'll snuggle them a little bit, then come downstairs. I tend to be better at like tidying the house in the morning. I'm kind of out of the energy at night as far as like physical energy. I have a lot of mental energy at night, so I work on mental things in the evenings. So I typically will come down and like work on getting things tidied, straightened up. My husband takes care of the dishes, so those aren't sitting out overnight, but like as far as like cleaning off tables, getting, things picked up off the floor, all of that stuff I tend to do first thing in the morning. It kind of gets me moving, gets me waking up, gets my brain going, as far as like, for our day and whatnot. If I'm not needing to film. So if I'm needing to film, I will do that first thing in the morning. You can kind of see my morning light coming through right now. But I will try to get that done first thing in the morning before my kids are awake. Just generally because that helps with like keeping the noise level down. Even if they are awake, they tend to be kind of sluggish in the morning. And so it makes it easier for me to film in the morning. So that's kind of how our mornings go. I let my kids wake up whenever they wake up, unless we have somewhere to be. But they get up, they get moving. If they want a breakfast thing, they'll ask, and I'll make them something that's not pretty typical for most of them. And then, yeah, so now it's probably, by the time all of that is accomplished, it's usually about maybe 10-ish. And I will start getting set up for my day, our day, answering any emails if I need to, or, you know, comments on YouTube, or setting up any activities we have for the day that need to be done. If we're getting ready for co-op, sometimes I have to make a lunch for that. You know, any of those things that we need to do to set up for a day. I also will go grocery shopping at that time of day. Normally a kid or two is up by that point. I have a 14-year-old. I will wake her up, and then I will run out to the grocery store so that I can go and get that done and have it done first thing in the morning. There's less crowds there. All the reasons to do it then. And so that all kind of happens in that time frame of the day. As you can kind of tell, there's no like set in stone pattern or process. It's kind of just like, these are the things, you know, I kind of have my list, and these are the things that I check off, kind of sort of in that order. It's very loosey-goosey around here. But that brings us to about 11 o'clock. All my kids are usually up by then and telling me they're hungry. And so I will normally make lunch sometimes starting around that 11 o'clock hour. Sometimes it's just heating up leftovers. Sometimes it's actually making a meal. Sometimes it's, you know, everybody just get what they want, or tell me what they want, and I'll make it, you know, all those things. But we make lunch, we eat lunch, and that it usually takes us about an hour-ish to make lunch, eat lunch, and kind of like settle our lunch and all of those things. Then I will say, okay, it's time for school. And this can change a little bit, but our general flow is I start with my older two girls. At some point they will be working on independent work, and then I will pull away and work with my younger two. So I used to work with them together. That it does not work anymore, because my older son is starting to kind of pull away cognitively from my younger daughter, and they were starting to really distract one another, and so now I am having to do them separately. So that does make my day slightly longer as far as like homeschooling, but it's not that bad. And my daughters are moving at a slower pace anyways because she's younger, and so it's working out well. And then I will finish up. Normally we do group subjects after the individual subjects are done. So if my older finish their individual things and I'm still working with my younger, they will take a break. And then I will call them back to do our group things, which are history and science. And woven melodies we're still working through sometimes. And then my little two will jump in sometimes when we're doing like a history or science activity, but they, you know, I don't worry about that too much until they get a little bit older. And so that is kind of like our general flow of things. I keep looking over here because I'm looking for a piece of paper that I put out in my sea of paper. So let me grab it real quick. Okay, so this could be a little glary because it's laminated, so I'm sorry. But as you can see, like we have our days of the week, and then we have our things that we want to accomplish on those days. So this is actually from last year. I haven't actually technically printed out our this year one because we switched to using Homeschool Planet. And I don't, even though I made this and I have this still, because while I was deciding, you know, like I still did this in my planning process because I was deciding what we were going to do each day before I put that into my Homeschool Planet. I still made this, so I think this is still a valuable thing. I just haven't printed it because the Homeschool Planet, it tells us what we're going to do every day. And you're able to like put it in a specific order. If I wanted my kids to go from the top down, they could. But with the Homeschool Planet, I'm finding that instead of going like top down like they used to go, you know, they'd start with math and then move on to, they are kind of like picking and choosing what they want to do, and I don't mind that at all. But what we used to do was literally follow this. So we would just kind of check them off. I also had, this is on the other side, so they would kind of just like go through the boxes. I have this as a free printable on my website, www.homeschool-ology.com. I will put it here. I'll link it down below. So this is a free printable if you would like to use it. I think it's available in this like pastel rainbow and blue ombre, because those were the colors my daughters liked. And so, but we do still kind of follow that general pattern as far as like individual work, then group work, and that's kind of how our day goes. I do have a video, I'll link it here, where I did like kind of like a week in our lives. I will say that week was kind of like not a great representation. Like that wasn't a stellar week for us, because it was like a holiday in there, and Valentine's Day, I think, and just we were not really up to our full par, but it gives you a general idea of like how we run things around here. So I'm planning on making another one of those videos, so if you want to hit that notification bell, you'll see when that one comes out. It's probably not going to be until like October, November before that would come out though. And so anyways, that is kind of like our general flow of things. We are not schedule people. We don't run on schedules. This flow, this kind of like order of things is what works best for us. If it's too, my kids need some structure. So there is some structure, like it, you know, we're saying we eat lunch and then we do school. That's our kind of like structure. But as far as like specific times of day, doesn't fly for my kids. And so we do what works for us. This general schedule has been working for us for multiple years. If you don't know, I have a 9th grader, so this is our 10th year of homeschooling. And so over those 10 years, this is kind of the system that has worked for us. Sometimes that means we start at noon and we don't finish until 5 when Dad gets home. Sometimes that means we start at noon and we're done by 2, depending on how well they went that day. Sometimes that means we start at noon and we take multiple breaks and we're still not done until Dad gets home. It just is what we need for that day, how our brains are going for that day. But we do kind of have that set schedule in the sense that we get up, we get to have our time to wake up, do what we want, we eat lunch, and then it's on. We do school. We follow a general pattern for school, but now with the Homeschool Planet, they do have a little bit more choice as to what order they go in. That's kind of how our general flow, our general routine goes around here. Oh, that sun's starting to come in. I'm gonna have to scoot just a second. I'm gonna wrap this video up because I'm starting to get blinded by the sun that is coming in through our back windows. We have that rising sun just shoots right into our back windows right about this time of day. So I am going to wrap this up. Thank you again to Devine at Calm in the Chaos and Shawna from Homegrown Homeschool for hosting today's collaboration. Don't forget to check out that playlist that I've linked down below, and any of those videos that I shared, I'll link them down below as well. I'd love to hear about your homeschool routine, structure, schedule, flow. What do you do? What works for you? I know that a lot of people new to homeschooling come and check out these videos, so having those comments of other ideas are wonderful. Again, that playlist is going to give you lots of other ideas as well. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. Comment your routine, your schedule. While you're down there, I hope you would subscribe to this channel, ring that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget, you can always follow us over on Instagram at Homeschoolology, and I hope you will come back and chat with me again real soon, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!